everybody, and welcome back to the Michigan Insider, Michigan.247sports.com. I'm Alejandro Zuniga here at the Michigan football facilities, wrapping up a week's worth of press conferences as the Wolverines prepare for their first road test of the season, a conference road game at Washington. First time they're playing there since 2001. They were obviously supposed to play there in 2020 before extenuating circumstances canceled that one. But it is a rematch of the 2024 College Football Playoff National Championship game, which the Wolverines won in Houston, but one that doesn't really quite feel like it given the amount of turnover between the two programs. Excited to be flying out to Seattle for that in a couple days, but before that, let's recap what we learned this week, including today from the offensive coordinator Kirk Campbell and linebackers coach Brian Jean-Marie. First, we'll start with some injury updates that we got yesterday from Colston Loveland. He said he's good to go for this weekend, said he's feeling great. Obviously, take that with a bit of a grain of salt because any player is going to say he feels good. But he played 16 snaps against Minnesota after missing that USC game. Played only in passing situations, but said he feels good. He's ready to go, full go, against the Washington Huskies. We also talked to Kendrick Bell, who had suffered what appeared to be a pretty gruesome looking knee injury on a catch attempt against Minnesota. He went into the injury tent, returned for the rest of the game, has some bruising around his knee, but said they popped that kneecap back in there. He walked it off, and yeah, well, I would be out for the year. He's good. Must be nice to still be in college and be a high-level athlete like that, I suppose. But obviously, those are two weapons who will be key for Alex Orji and the Michigan offense as they look to kickstart things after honestly, what's been 5 weeks of starts and stops from an offensive perspective. Had a chance to talk to Kirk Campbell about that, and the phrase he used a couple times was catch-22. He said that there are plays that they would like to be running, there are things they would like to be doing, but that first they need to see better execution across the board from the offense. You are more precise with execution, you get more plays. That starts with the quarterback, with Alex Orji. Kirk Campbell said he likes what he's seen from Alex Orji so far. Number one, it's been 2 wins in 2 starts for him against USC and against Minnesota. That USC game, he noted, was one of the bigger home games Michigan has had since the 2021 season. One of the bigger home games since that victory over Ohio State, 42-27 in the snow here in Ann Arbor. Alex Orji led them to another victory, even if the stats don't necessarily reflect that he had as much of an impact on the field. Kirk Campbell said he's been really good, Alex Orji has, in his command of the pocket, in his command of the offense, and in not putting the ball in harm's way quite as much as Davis Warren did through his first 3 starts of the year. Of course, Alex Orji threw a little bit more in his second start against Minnesota. Kirk Campbell and Sherrod Moore both mentioned a dig route that he threw to the aforementioned Kendrick Bell. A play where Alex Orji went through his progressions and made a throw with his second or third read. That showed growth from him, and they're going to need to see more from him against a talented Washington defense that shut down Kyle Monangai and Rutgers on a Friday night last week, even if the result was a loss. Kirk Campbell said, look, there are plays to be made in the offense. He commented on the play that was an interception on a throw to Colston Loveland against Minnesota. Said, hey, if that play is made, that's a touchdown, whether that's to Colston Loveland, whether that's to Donovan Edwards, who was open on a wheel route. That makes it 31-3, and that changes what that game looks like. So you've got to make the plays when they are available. Said also the coaches need to do a better job putting players in position to make those plays. One guy who's made plays this year for Michigan is Kalel Mullings, of course. Kirk Campbell said he is a superstar with the way that he has transitioned from defense to offense and the way that he's put the team on his back against USC, of course, but also throughout the year. In terms of Donovan Edwards, in terms of the rest of the offensive weapons, Kirk Campbell says yes, they want to be creative. Yes, they want to run Alex Orji more often. But again, it's a catch-22. If you are running the ball with Alex Orji, you are taking the ball out of the hands of a Kalel Mullings, of a Donovan Edwards, and said that when Alex Orji is handing the ball off sometimes, those are live reads, and said that Alex has done a good job of making those reads, but does need to get better with them. There are opportunities for him to keep the ball where he hasn't. There are opportunities for him to hand the ball off where that's the read the defense is showing him that he hasn't done that. So room for improvement. Likes what he's seen from Alex Orji so far. Plenty of Plenty of places where he can grow, however, with the back 2/3 of the season. Talk to him also about the backup quarterbacks, of course. Jack Tuttle is a guy who has come up a lot on message boards. I've seen the comments on Twitter and so on. He's a guy who was on the injury report. He didn't play in the spring as he was recovering from an injury. He didn't play so much in fall camp either as he was still recovering. Kirk Campbell wasn't going to flat out give a health update, but said that he's only gotten reps here and there in practice. So it doesn't sound like he is necessarily Jack Tuttle gearing up to be taking over a starting quarterback position this weekend or potentially anytime soon. As for the freshman Jaden Davis, Kirk Campbell said, listen, if you start a young quarterback too early, whether that's in college or in the NFL, you can fail him as a program. You can fail him as a franchise. Said that Jaden Davis, they need to continue developing him and make sure that whenever he sees the field, whether it's this year or in the future, he is ready and the offense is ready for him to be playing. They want to ensure that to make sure they are not failing a young quarterback. Turning our attention now to the defensive side of the ball, Brian Jean-Mary spoke very highly of the offensive weapons that Washington is going to present. Of course, Will Rogers, their quarterback, came over from Mississippi State, actually holds Mississippi State records, I believe, for passing yards and passing touchdowns. A guy who came up through Mike Leach, may he rest in peace, and that air raid type offense. He, with his veteran experience, is like a coach on the field and will be a challenge for the Michigan defense, will be a challenge for the linebackers, Ernest Hausman and Jayshawn Barham. Brian Jean-Mary talked about Jayshawn Barham and spoke to, A, he is very athletic, B, offenses know that he likes to rush the passer, that Michigan wants to use him to rush the passer, so that he's maybe getting a little bit frustrated with how much attention offenses are paying, how much attention he's getting from offenses, but that's something that keep doing what the play design is called for. He will make plays. He is improving. Of course, it's also his first year in the Michigan defense. Michigan plays a pro-style defense that asks its linebackers to do a lot. Brian Jean-Mary said Jayshawn Barham is growing, he is fitting into the scheme, but there is plenty of room for him to grow as well. It will be a challenge for him and the Michigan defense against a talented Washington attack featuring former friend and familiar face Giles Jackson, who will be making his third appearance against the Wolverines since transferring from Michigan. Not sure he expected that when he transferred to Washington, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. That's how conference realignment makes old friends into new foes, I suppose. He will face the Wolverines at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, that's 4:30 p.m. local at Husky Stadium out in Seattle. I will be there, the Michigan Insider will be there, and we have plenty of content over at michigan.247sports.com previewing a very interesting national championship rematch that will be taking place on Saturday out in the Pacific Northwest. Excited to be there. I'm Alejandro Zuniga. Thanks for following along. I'll see you next time.